Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. I'm joined here today with the assistant captain of the 7th-ranked Providence Friars hockey team, Hayley Lunny. Hayley, welcome back to the podcast, and how's
Thank
everything
you.
going?
It's going really well. How are you?
I'm doing well, just enjoying winter break at the moment. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
Same here. We've been on campus for about 2 weeks now during break. So it's definitely been fun to kind of have a break from school and be able to enjoy the team without that pressure.
Oh, definitely. I can expect that. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, your team is 7th-ranked team in the country. What does that ranking mean to you?
It means a lot to us. Obviously, we want to be higher and we're going to keep pushing and winning games to move up the rankings. But it's just a true testament to how great our group really is. We've been putting in work every single day and getting better every single week. So we definitely deserve to be a little bit higher, and we're going to work to keep moving up.
Definitely. Now, how do you deal with the pressure of being a top-ranked team in the country? Because there's a lot of expectations that are upon you now because of that ranking.
Definitely, especially being in Hockey East. We're such a competitive conference where any team can beat any team on any given day, and especially now that we're ranked 7th in the country, we always have a target on our back. But I think just the way that we prepare every week, we go into games knowing that, and our coaches prepare us really well, so we know we can never take our foot off the gas no matter who we're playing.
Yeah, and at what point during the off season or during the year did you realize how good your team how your team was capable of being a ranked team? Was there any point where like, wow, this team is definitely special and could be something good in the future?
I think we always kind of had in the back of our mind that last year we could have definitely been ranked a couple times when we weren't. But I think the first week of practice when we saw the freshmen that we had, we're like, wow, we have something really special here. And we have a freshman class where everyone plays, and everyone's part of every single game, which is really important. And not a lot of teams can say that. So I think that first week of practice when we really realized that we have something special here.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about that freshman class. How have they looked so far in your opinion, and talk about the impact they've made on your team so far?
They honestly, I feel like they've been here forever, off the ice and on the ice. They really adopted our systems well. They play a team game, um, and they just fit right in, and they've added some big goals when we need it. We have a really strong freshman D core, which we needed, especially losing two of our best D last year, Avery Francu and Whitney Dove. And they really stepped up to the plate, and we could not be happier with them.
Yeah, and what's it been like to play this season without any fans, and has that been an adjustment for yourself?
It not too bad. I definitely miss having my parents at the games, but occasionally they pump crowd noise in, which is kind of cool because we don't have that many fans at our games, so it's kind of cool to play with that. But it's definitely different not being able to see my parents after games or be able to see the other teams, my friends on other teams after the game. So it hasn't affected us too much, but it's definitely I miss that part.
Yeah, it's weird watching it on TV because you can just hear everything that happens on the ice,
Yeah.
and it's cool for a fan, but it's definitely odd to watch that. Now, you've also had to adjust to many schedule changes throughout the season. How have you mentally stayed prepared for all those challenges that brings upon you? Because I know in Hockey East, every week it's like you don't even know who you're going to play.
Yeah. I think we got our first taste of it actually our first weekend. We showed up to the rink in our dress clothes, ready to go, and all our bags are packed. And our coaches come in and tell us we're not going to Merrimack; they have COVID. Um, so we had to unpack our bags, get ready for practice, and then we ended up playing UConn the next day at home. Um, so I think right off the bat, we kind of had to get used to this is not going to be a normal year. Obviously, it already wasn't going to be, but we can't even rely on who we're playing the next weekend. And it can be as soon as a couple hours before game day or before the game that we realize we're not playing the team we were supposed to. So I kind of like that we had that experience early on, because it just taught us that we have to prepare every single weekend, not knowing if we're even going to have a game. But or we could be playing a really tough opponent. So that's been it's been tricky, but we're definitely getting used to it.
Has that changed your preparation for this year compared to other years? Because I know during a normal season, you'll look at an opponent, prepare for them, find out their strengths and weaknesses. Has that changed this year, not knowing who you're going to play every weekend, or have you tried to, I guess, try to prepare as it would be for a normal year?
It's definitely been a little bit, different, but our coach, Coach Kelly, he has a motto that, we're gonna play our game no matter who we're playing, and that's really been our motto this year, especially when we don't know who we're playing. Like, the day or 2 before a game, we might run their power play or PK and forecheck to try to get used to those systems, but usually we just do what we do, when it comes to a game. But that's really been the case this year. And we still do pre-scout, but it's not like it has been in years past.
Yeah, and speaking of preparation, what was your off season like as a whole, and how did you prepare for this upcoming season? Because I know we talked a little bit about it, the challenges you faced on the last time you were on on the podcast, and you were saying how you were having trouble finding ice time and gyms were hard to find, open gyms were hard to find as well. How did you adapt to those challenges, and how did you overcome them as a whole?
Right. So after our last game last season, I didn't touch the ice for 3 months because all the rinks were closed and none of my gyms were open because I'm from New York. And COVID's really, really bad there. But towards the end of summer, luckily some things started to lift, so I could start going to the gym and start getting on the ice in Rhode Island, which was really, really nice. But I know a lot of my teammates didn't have that opportunity, so it's hard. Everyone's coming from different states, and the rules are different in every state, so everyone's preparation level was different. So I think the first couple weeks of the season where we like kind of September, October-ish, we were all just kind of get on the same page because our levels of preparation for the season were completely different and not up to us at all.
Yeah, and that must have been tough. How did the coaching staff try to implement, when the season first started, when you first arrived on campus, like you were saying, everyone had different training regimens throughout the off season
Hmm.
because of where they were from. How did the coaching staff try to bring you guys back up to speed to be equal, like to have the same abilities so you all were ready for your first game in Hockey East?
Right. Well, we actually didn't have ice in until like mid-October. Um, and then we could only do captain's practices up until that point. So they kind of implemented some easy drills and captain's practices to kind of just get everyone's legs under us. And then we started, as the week started to go on, we get a little bit harder and harder and harder. But one thing I really like about our coach is he doesn't bag skate us. It's not like get on the line and just do sprints. We do more productive drills that are very tiring, but it's we don't ever just get on the line and bag ourselves. So yeah, that's kind of one way that we got all on the same page.
Yeah, another thing I noticed was you guys have to wear masks on the ice. Has that
Yeah.
been an adjustment? And how do you deal with those conditioning drills? Because that seems very difficult. And you guys seem to handle it pretty well for the most part.
I know it actually has gotten much we've definitely gotten used to it. It's not an easy thing to get used to. At first, we were all worried that we couldn't see the puck when we looked down or that we were gonna be dead, but um, conditioning wise, but as the weeks and practices have gone on, I don't even notice it anymore. And it's nice too because my bubble doesn't fog up, which I feel like shouldn't happen, but it does. And it was challenging at first, but now majority of the team doesn't even notice it.
Yeah, and was there anything interesting that you did during your off season that wasn't hockey related besides obviously coming on the podcast?
Um, Not really. I spend most of it at the beach. So not a bad time. I wanted to get an internship, but because of COVID and everything, that was hard. So I spent my summer on the beach, so can't really complain there.
Yeah, no, I was supposed to have an internship last summer as well, but it got canceled due to COVID. So
Right.
I hear you on that.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking also last podcast how you were named the assistant captain of the team. You said you wanted to set a good example on and off the ice and be there for your underclassmen. How would you assess your leadership so far, and what have you learned about yourself as a player being in that leadership role?
It's definitely it's not I've never been in this position before on youth teams or anything, so it was completely new to me. And our entire captain group, we have never been captains in college before, so we've kind of been feeding off each other and learning from each other. And I think we've been doing a really good job, the four of us. just kind of because these are such unprecedented times, and we've never been in this position before, and we've never had something like COVID before. So we're doing the best that we can, and I think that we've really set good examples, and our underclassmen really feel like they can come to us, and we just have created a really good open environment on our team, and we're just a really close knit group, and I think it starts from the top down, and we've really been doing a great job, and our captain Chloe Gonzalez is just the best, and she's been doing a great job, and we kind of follow her lead, and things have been going really well. So I would say uh, we're definitely going moving in a good direction.
Yeah, and talk about your goaltending this year. That's been obviously very impressive. Sandra Abstrider has been amazing for you guys, and that talk about her play and how she's helped your team so far.
She's just the best. She's one of my closest friends, and she just puts in so much extra work, and she deserves all the credit she is getting right now. She really is one of the best goalies in the country, and she's pushed herself to get to where she is now, and she's only going to go up from here. She just got announced goaltender of the month for all of college
Exciting.
hockey. Yeah, today. So she's definitely deserving of that, and she's really been the backbone of our team and got us out of some games that we shouldn't have walked away with a win, but because of her we did. So she's a huge reason of why we are where we are right now.
Now, 3-on-3 overtime has also been introduced to college hockey this year. What has that been like for yourself? And being kind of an offensive defenseman, what's it been like to have more space on the ice to have more offensive chances?
We've only been in one overtime, which I obviously we've been doing well. So, but I wanted to definitely do more of them. We practiced it a lot in practice, um, but it's fun. It's really fun to just be able to see the ice, to have so much open. But at the same time, as you said, I do think more defensively than offensively. Um, so I feel like that handicaps my ability sometimes to think offensively, especially in those situations. I don't want to give up too much ice. Um, but as we practice it, uh, I feel like we could really be deadly um, in the next 3-on-3 overtime that we get.
Yeah, and you started this year against UConn. You were talking to me about how you didn't even know you're going to play them until right before game time, basically. You blew them out the first night, but then you went in a shootout the second night and lost. What was the difference, you think, between both those games, and how did you use it to help use your team for the next few weekend series you had?
I think something we struggled with last year was it was hard for us to show up 2 games in a row. And I think that we kind of felt that a little bit the second game. We haven't really had that problem a lot the rest of this season so far. But I think that was a little bit of a carryover from last year. And it's not that we played poorly in that game. We couldn't bear down on opportunities. And I don't think we were ready for UConn's push. Um, but I think that that was really important game for us to have because um, in the game before we showed our capabilities, what we can do, and then in the second game we showed what can happen if we take our foot off the gas even just a little bit, and that can happen against any team in Hockey East.
Yeah, and then you beat Boston College, who is another ranked team in the country. What was the message heading into the locker room before those two games, and what was the key to those victories? Because that's when I think most of the country opened their eyes up, like, man, Providence could be a really good team after those two wins.
Yeah, I think that we were annoyed that we didn't get the recognition we thought that we deserved after the Yukon weekend. Um, and we wanted to put ourselves on the map, and we want to play with the target on our back. And we know that we are just as good, if not better, than BC. Especially watching film, we knew going into that weekend that we can really take it to them. And I think every person in that locker room believed that, and it really showed on the ice. And again, Sandra just absolutely stood on her head and gave us opportunities to win those games.
Now, after that series, you played Holy Cross, and we obviously talked on the last podcast how you have a love Holy Cross just
Mhm.
because your dad used to play for them. You
Right.
swept that opponent, but what challenges does that team bring to you guys? And well, what was the key to those two wins? Because I know Holy Cross, they're kind of in the lower part of the standings, but they're obviously a tough team to play against every single night.
They are, and they've only been getting better. They're definitely not an easy opponent, and they're a very physical team. And if you give them opportunities, they're going to take advantage of it. So I think that those 2 games showed our consistency and that we can bring it, for 2 games in a row, or 4 games in a row, I guess, because we just had swept BC as well. So that was a really important series for us, and Holy Cross is definitely not a team that anyone in hockey can take lightly.
Yeah, no, I feel like I know in Hockey East this year everyone's making the playoffs, but I feel like if that wasn't the case, I think they would definitely potentially make the playoffs this year. I've really been impressed.
Definitely.
Now, you split last series against Maine. What did you take away from that split? I know you were talking about consistency with your team. Is that something that you need to work on more, especially after last series against Maine?
Yes, I think it is. We came out, we completely took it to them the first game, winning 4-0, and we just really dominated the game. Um, and then the next day, I think we were kind of expecting to go out and do the same thing, but Maine is an opponent that would never does that. They never just roll over, and I think that we kind of got lost a little bit from our game. What we usually do, we didn't play poorly, but we didn't play our game. We were letting Maine play theirs. And so I think going forward, you just have to be aware of that. And it was definitely a hard game to have before break, but we still have that bitter taste in our mouth heading into this weekend. So it's a learning experience for sure.
Yeah, you guys are currently number one in Hockey East at the moment. However, Northeastern and Boston University, those are two teams that are definitely trying to get that number one spot. They obviously haven't really played that many games due to COVID issues. How do you plan to maintain that spot in the standings with so many teams on your heels, especially BU, because they have a lot of good freshmen and they're looking to potentially try to get some wins and get some consistency. And Northeastern, who's obviously won Hockey East for the past 3 years.
Right. Right. Well, I think just keep playing our game, because when we play our game, I truly believe that there's not a single team in hockey that can beat us. And as I said before, the consistency. If we can really master those 2 things, I think we have a really good chance of finishing in first in hockey East.
Definitely. Now, I was talking about this just a few seconds ago, but all the teams in Hockey East are going to make the playoffs. And one thing I was curious to ask you about as a player, does that take away some urgency? Because I know for some teams, it's like, oh, we got to make the playoffs. Make the playoffs, and then we can run the table from there. How do
Mhm.
you try to maintain that urgency during the year when you know you're going to make a playoff spot?
I think our coaches do a really good job of keeping that urgency. We try to treat every game like a playoff game and have that playoff mentality. And I think this past weekend against Maine, especially the second game, kind of had a playoff vibe to it, even though we're only halfway through the season and everyone's making the playoffs. Um, so I think that we just need to. I think we're really good at keeping that competitive mindset no matter what, and we want that high ranking just for ourselves. And I think that it's a pride thing too. Like we don't we're a team that's worthy of finishing in the top 4, and we're going to play that way.
Yeah, it's also home ice advantage will be a key advantage, especially this year
Yeah.
with all the COVID things that are happening. Now, what are your goals and expectations for the rest of the season? I was checking out your schedule. You have some tough opponents. You obviously play Northeastern at the end of the season. Just what do you expect to happen at the end of the year?
I expect us to um, keep keep playing the way we're playing, um, and definitely start scoring some more goals as a team and being consistent in um, converting on our opportunities. And just I want us to finish first in Hockey East, and I think it's a very doable goal. And we have such a strong group and such a close group that I believe it's very possible.
Now, what has been the biggest improvement you've made to your game so far this year?
Um, I think definitely being myself personally, just being more poised with the puck and making better decisions and picking my head up. I think being my 4th year playing college hockey, I'm definitely I feel like I have more control out there than I have in years past, and I just making better decisions with the puck, and then obviously in the D zone, really focusing on blocking more shots, and I feel like I've been pretty successful with that so far.
Yeah, what's it like blocking those shots, and what's the hardest shot you've ever blocked so far?
Um, I personally, I love blocking shots just as much as I love scoring goals. I love the feeling of the bench cheering and blocking a big one on the PK or with 2 minutes left in the game. But definitely the hardest shot I've blocked is probably one of my own teammates. Sarah Dramason, my roommate, she had one of the hardest shots, and I consistently would block her shots on the power play, whether it was in a game or in practice. So that by far is the hardest shot I blocked, accidentally, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Now, transitioning, we're doing the non-hockey segment of the podcast. It's going to be a little bit different. This is going to be more tailored
Okay,
to some of your interests. Now, my first question is somewhat hockey related, but I know you're a big Ryan Callahan fan. What's your thoughts
huge.
on his retirement that happened a few weeks ago?
I'm very sad about it. It was probably coming because he announced last year that he wasn't playing. But he'll always be one of my favorite players. I really try to model my game after him. He's the reason I'm number 24. Um, and he's just an all around perfect hockey player, in my opinion. Always gave 110%, amazing leader on and off the ice, and always gave his body up. And he was gritty in front of the net.
Have you ever met him before in person?
I have never met him before, and I'm dying to meet him. But I do have a signed jersey from him, personal signed jersey, because I won a competition. But that's it. I've never met him.
Yeah, no, I know he played college hockey for Wisconsin, and if the podcast ever gets big enough to have him on the show, I'll definitely invite you on to meet him in person. That's a
Oh,
promise for
please
myself.
do. Yes, that would be a dream come true.
Now, you're also a major Patriots fan. What are your thoughts on this past season, which was very disappointing? I'm a fan myself. It was very tough to watch.
It was a little disappointing, but I am still a hardcore Pats fan, and I we kind of needed this year as a hardcore Pats fan, so I can people won't call me a bandwagoner or front runner anymore because I am from New York, so I should be a Giants or Jets fan. So people have always called me a front runner, but
Yeah.
now I can point and say I'm a Patriot fan even in their bad years. So that's my positive outlook. And we didn't have Hightower this year. We had a bunch of players that are crucial parts of the team that sat out. So,
What made you a Patriots fan coming from New York? I'm just curious.
my dad's parents and my grandparents were from New England, and so they were huge Patriots fans, and then he was born and raised Patriot fan. So I
Oh,
kinda had no choice.
yeah.
But fine with me. Hardcore Pats all the way.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely a tough year. I was really looking forward to Cam Newton coming on the
I
Patriots. I thought he
know.
was going to fit well, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. And I'm very upset because he seems like a great guy. He
I
works so
know.
hard, wakes up at 4:30 in the morning, and then doesn't drink coffee for another 3 hours.
Yeah, I saw that.
But it's disappointing, but I think they'll definitely bounce back. Hopefully they get Jimmy Garoppolo. That's kind of my hope for a quarterback. I
Mhm.
think he can be on the market. Who do you hope they get for a quarterback next year?
Honestly, I heard that I heard some conspiracy theories that that Trevor guy from I can't remember where he's from, but
Clemson?
that yeah, Clemson, right? That he purposely blew the game against Ohio so he could get a lower draft pick so Belichick could draft him. I don't know if that's true or if that's a crazy conspiracy, but that would be pretty cool.
That definitely won't happen. The Patriots have like the
I know.
15th pick, and he's
I
going to get
know.
picked at least in the top two, in my opinion, probably going number one overall. But I don't know. I hope it's Jimmy G. I think it would be cool to have him back.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
someone
agree.
like Marcus Mariota back up from like the Raiders. I think he would fit in well. I don't know. It's definitely going to be a tough few years because I don't think they have enough on the offense. They have no receivers, basically. I think
No,
their offensive line can be shaky at times, and I don't know what the defense is going to look like, especially with all the players coming back. So
I know.
but I do believe in Bill. He's a great coach.
Yes,
When
I
he threw
all
that
my
phone,
faith in
I
Bill.
absolutely was felt him on that. So I believe in him, and I hopefully he can figure out a way to, I guess, improve the team.
He always does.
Now, here are some interesting questions I found online. These are very non-hockey related. Where's the worst smelling place you've ever been?
Even though it's non-hockey related, it has to be my home rink. There, I had to get dressed in the bathroom because I played with boys growing up, and it is the worst smelling bathroom ever.
Oh yeah.
Just awful.
I think for hockey reasons, I played at Holy Cross one time in the visitors' locker room there. I don't know if that's the one you guys use, but that's very tight and it can smell pretty
Oh
bad
yeah.
with all the bags that we were with.
Oh yeah.
But for me, it's definitely this physics class. This guy emptied out the garbage disposal during the middle of class, and it smelled so bad. And I think
Oh,
everyone had to leave. I don't know why he did it during class, but
yeah,
that was definitely
true.
mine. Now, what is the worst commercial you have seen recently, and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. Oh, they during the World Juniors, we've been watching the World Juniors, and every single time without fail, this special knife commercial comes on, and I'm just so sick of seeing it. It's just this guy cutting these random things like a brick, a fish, and all these random things with a knife, and it's not even an awful, it's just I'm so sick of seeing it. It's at least twice a commercial break it comes on.
Yeah, watching some of your college hockey games, especially on NESN, this GMC ad comes on with like the black and red car. For some reason, it just makes me so mad just because like he bought the car and she's like picking which, I don't know. It just really makes me upset. Now, what is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Um, I'll throw out a little shout out to my roommate and or both my roommates, Sandy and Sarah Dramosin. They reading their article about them being hockey's players of the month. So I'll give them a little shout out with that one.
Yeah, definitely. I saw that on Instagram. It was just cool to see some of your teammates get recognition. I know as a teammate,
Yeah.
that must be awesome. Do you try to hype them up?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I posted on my Insta story, my Snap story.
Awesome. Now, what is something you wish more people knew about yourself besides being a good hockey player?
Well, one really cool fun fact about me is I was born in the front seat of a car, completely unassisted on the streets of New York City. So that's a fun fact that uh, I kind of like people to know because that's how I got my name after Haley's Comet. Um, so yeah,
That's interesting. I don't know. That must have been hard for your parents to deal with that in the front. Was it like in the highway or something?
it was on the corner of 77th Street and Park Ave in the city. And my dad ran into the hospital to get a nurse or someone to come out with my to help my mom, and they come out and my mom's holding me up by 2 feet on the corner of the street.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
definitely a very interesting story.
Yeah.
Now, you've been watching World Juniors, like you've just said. What's your thoughts on Team USA making the final? Trevor Zegras, he looks great. Cole
Yeah.
Caulfield, he looks great. What's your thoughts on the final that's going to happen tonight?
USA all the way. Trevor Zegers is actually, we're from the same town. He grew up playing with my brother. So our families know each other, which is pretty cool. And we're definitely rooting for him and them tonight, and they're gonna win without a doubt. My Canadian roommates would say otherwise, but we're definitely gonna have to watch in separate rooms tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm rooting for USA. I hope they win. I think Canada, it's gonna be tough. They got some good players. That Alex
Hmm.
Newhook from BC, he looks
Yeah.
very good. Dylan Holloway, so that's gonna be interesting. But it's cool getting to see some of. I hope to have some of them on the podcast, like Jan Kuznetsov. He plays for Russia. We kind of know
Yeah.
him, so I hope he comes on the pod soon. But it's cool seeing some of those college hockey guys
Oh
um,
yeah, for
have
sure.
success internationally.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been fun to watch.
Is there like a women's version of the World Juniors? I know they have like the under 22 series with Canada over the summers. That's the only international things that women's hockey gets.
I believe that we do usually do something around this time too. Um, but I don't think it's I'm not exactly sure. There's so many world tournaments that I don't think it's considered like a world juniors or anything, but it is IIHF. And I know that my Swedish roommate plays in it.
Yeah, I know Ben Berard's on Team USA. He plays for Providence. Do you know him in any way? I know he's on the men's team.
No, I haven't really met him, but I think his dad's the coach at Holy Cross, and
Yeah.
is my dad, but no, I've never really met him.
I was just curious, just because that's the only Providence player that's on Team USA, I think, and obviously the coach is on the is coaching Team USA as well. So
Right.
it'd be good to see some Providence
Yeah, for
members
sure.
get gold tonight. Now, what are your thoughts on the podcast since we've last had you on? I'm just curious.
Oh, I'm really loving all your success and seeing so many people doing it, and especially some of my other teammates doing it. I've really been putting the word out there too for people to listen and check it out, and I'm really loving all the success, and I love too the new how you do the Instagram post now, how you put the stats and then like a little quote about them.
Yeah.
So and then the headshot picture too.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to see how much it's growing.
Well, I appreciate you spreading out the word. It means a lot to me. What are some things you took away though from the interview that we last had you on? I was listening to it just preparing for this one. Bit nervous, I would say for myself, but I don't know. How about you? What did you take away? You seemed like you were pretty comfortable during the whole thing.
I like doing interviews. So and I definitely like an interview like this. I've never done one like on on Zoom before video. But I think that you definitely have a good presence and you're easy to talk to. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Now, is there any guests that we should have on in the future that you would like to shout them out?
Um, I would say Sandra Absher. Absher. I can never say her last name, and she knows that. I just call her Sandy. But yeah, she'd be really good on here.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to reach out to her in the future. I'm trying to get some more Providence women's hockey players on. I know we had Cass McPherson on a few weeks
Right.
ago, and we
Mhm.
had Hunter Barnett on as well a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get some more players on. I think like we would love to have Whitney Dove on one day. I know she's killing it
Mhm.
with Buffalo right now. So that's who
Right.
I'm. That's just some people I can think of from Providence at the moment.
Mhm. No, Wit's really good in interviews, and I'm sure she'd love to do something like this.
Now, what should I do to improve the podcast to make the platform better?
I think you're doing a great job. I think to get the players too to promote it a little bit more and like post it on their story and stuff. And I think it comes from the players kind of getting the word out there, and then it kind of spreads like wildfire from that.
Yeah, that's hopefully we get some more promotion from the players. It's fun when they do it. It means a lot to me, so I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to say before we let you go? The floor is all yours. Anything you like to shout, anyone you like to shout out, or anything you like to plug in?
Just shout out to my whole team for being awesome and being seventh in the country this week. And then another shout out to Gianna Savastano. She told me to give her one last interview, so I'm giving her one again. And yeah, my mom, of course, for always listening.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Haley, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Take care. Have a good rest of your year, and you can also check out Haley's last interview as well. We talked more about her hockey journey to D1 and just about the past season she's had with Providence. But thank you so much for coming on, Haley. You're one of my favorite players, and we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll have you back on another day.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Take care. Bye.
Bye.